Mamsi, you have the floor. Thank you.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين وإن تستفتحوا فقد جاءكم الفتح نصر من الله وفتح قريب وبشر المؤمنين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر وسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما صلى الله تعالى عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Shukran, Imam C. Council, are we ready to start our proceedings? If we are, please proceed.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, commissioners and members of the audience. We are ready to start. Mr. Osa, could you kindly bring the witness, please? Mr. Benga is in the witness room. Mr. Chair, the first witness for this morning is just a procedural one, a witness to just tender documents from government. So he's a representative of the Ministry of Justice to submit to the Commission the report of the Commission of Inquiry on the students' disturbances of April 10, 11, year 2000.
Thank you. That's well noted, Council.
I, Bingadi, do swear that I'll speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Thank you very much, sir. Kindly take a seat. Good morning, sir. Welcome to the TRRC. We've already met, so no introductions necessary. Kindly tell the Commission your full names, please.
I'm Bingadinsha.
Could you say that again, sir?
I'm Bingadinsha.
How do you spell Disha?
Dinsha is spelled as D-I-N-S-H-I-Y-A.
Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Where do you work?
I work with the Ministry of Justice.
And what is your position at the Ministry of Justice?
I'm the Director of Civil Litigation and International Law.
We had submitted a request to the Ministry of Justice to submit certain documents to the Commission. Are you aware of that?
Very well.
And kindly tell us why you are here today.
Thank you very much. I'm here today to submit the report on the Commission of Inquiry into the public disturbance of 10th and 11th April 2000.
And who authorized you to come and submit these documents?
I'm here on behalf of the Solicitor General and Legal Secretary.
And do you have the document in your possession?
Yes.
Could you kindly produce the documents to the Commission?
Very well.
Mr. Chair, if the report and the attachments in it are accepted, this would be Exhibit 0082.
Thank you, Council. Commission accepts the submission of the report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Binga, thank you so much for being so kind to appear before the Commission and to submit the requested documents. You have now been discharged if the chairman so agrees.
Thank you very much for coming, and thanks for submission of the report. We really appreciate it. Time to come here. It's a very quick one, and thank you so much. You are now discharged.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, I now hand over the floor to Ms. Maria Masingate to lead the next witness.
Please proceed accordingly.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, members of the audience. Obi-Wan, can we please have the witness on the screen? Good morning to you, Mr. Witness.
Good morning, Council.
As you already know, Mr. Witness, my name is Maria Masingate, and I will be questioning you on behalf of the Commission today.
Okay.
I just want to take you through a few rules that will help us ease your testimony as we move along. There is simultaneous interpretation going on as we speak, so I'll advise that you speak slowly so that the interpreters can get all that you're saying. Also, if I ask a question, I'll advise that you wait for at least 3 seconds before you answer the question.
Okay.
Whenever I ask a question that you do not understand, please do not hesitate to let me know, and I'll either rephrase the question or explain it to you.
Okay, Council.
So we'll start now. That is, if you're ready.
Very much ready, Council.
Can you please tell us your names?
My name's Alhagie Nyabally.
Tell us when and where you were born.
I was born on the 27th September 1974 in the township of Misira near Bansang. We call it Bansang Misira, CRR South.
My apologies, they just reminded me that the affirmation was not administered to you. I guess today I'm a bit sleepy. Before we start, we have to start all over again because you didn't take your affirmation.
All right.
So can you please repeat after me? I. Please state your name.
Alhagie Nyabally.
Do affirm that.
Do affirm that.
I will speak the truth.
I will speak the truth.
The whole truth.
The whole truth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Since I didn't administer the affirmation to you when we started, I'll have to start all over again with you. Can you please tell us your full name?
My name is Alhagie Nyabally.
When and where were you born?
I was born on the 27th September 1974 in the township of Bansang Misira, Central River Region, or commonly as Makati Island Division.
Can you please give us a brief history of your educational background? That is from secondary education till date.
Yes, Council. I attended Bansang Primary School from 1984 to 1989. Subsequently, from 1984 to 1980, 85, 87, I was in Bansang Primary School. Then 1989, I went to Fatoto Primary School where I sat to my common entrance examinations. From there, I got enrolled at Bansang Secondary Technical School at Form 1. Then from there, I proceeded to Nusrat High School the same year in 1989-1990 academic year. I was on a student roll in Nusrat High School from 1989-1990 academic year to 1994 when I completed my ordinary levels or levels. Then 94 ending towards 96, mid 1996, I'm on the student roll of advanced level A levels at Nusrat High School. When I completed my sixth form, I taught in Nusrat High School briefly as a volunteer teacher of literature and English language. Then I got enrolled at the Gambia College to do a higher teacher's certificate between 1996 to 1998. From 1998, when I graduated as HTC teacher, I was posted to Sukuta Secondary School and taught briefly there. But then, simultaneously, when I finished my high school and Gambia College, I also got enrolled at the University of the Gambia as the first batch in the year 2000. Scroll through to 2005 when I graduated in double bachelor's degrees, English language and world history. That was my academic career in the Gambia. Okay. May I
No,
continue,
go ahead,
please?
please.
Okay. From there, when following some of the problems I had with the then government of Yaya Jammeh, I left the Gambia. I came to Europe, and I went to Gibraltar where I studied my master's programs. I couldn't continue to complete it because of lack of funds. I came to Spain. In Spain here, I did series of courses, security courses, internet hackings, IQ, and diplomacy. I did most of those courses here in Spain. From year 2007 to 2014, I was working and then doing courses also. Yes.
Thank you very much for that brief details. Can you please tell us about your activities while you were at the Gambia College from 1994 to 1996?
My activities were were many because I was an HTC student, and being a HTC student, I was involved in student politics. In 1996-97 academic year, I became the vice president of the Gambia Students Union, GAMSU, until 1999, when we handed over the political baton to Omar Diouf, who became the most famous student leader in the historical calendar of GAMSU. I was also playing football. I played soccer and many things in the Gambia College, but my role as a student leader was basically in GAMSU, and also head of the ACS department or society in the Gambia College. Yes.
In the year 2000, can you please tell us what you were doing, what you were involved in?
Yeah, the year 2000, I was enrolled at the Gambia College as a degree student. And actually, I was involved in student activities because we handed over the student political baton to Omar Diouf and his executive. And automatically, president, vice president, secretary general becomes automatic members of GAMSU leadership to be advising them in case they come across certain problems. I was involved in the student activities at the time, and university student politics also. I became the campaign manager for most of the student leaders there, especially Vicente Gomez, before he became the president of the student union at the University of the Gambia. I was his campaign manager. And then, we spread vital politics in the University of the Gambia because the university went through us.
We have received testimony that in the year 2000, April to be precise, an incident occurred that eventually changed the face of student unionism in the Gambia. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, Council, I can delve into that too. The circumstances leading to April 10th and 11th, as well as up to April 12th, was as a result of one of our colleagues in the name of Ibrahim Bari, who was allegedly tortured by the fire servicemen at Brikama Station, and the rape case of one of our colleagues from Brikama Junior Secondary School, Binta Mane. Whilst Ibrahim was a student at Foster Secondary School, Binta was a student at Brikama Junior Secondary School. From our inquiries and investigations, before the incident, I personally never knew Binta was a teenager. It was after our investigations, myself and some other students, we realized that this was a small girl who actually was violated by some of the unidentified uniform personnel at the Independence Stadium during the inter-schools competition.
Can you tell us how to...
Sorry. Go ahead.
Can you tell us how you came to know about this incident?
Yes, Consul, I can do that. It was on one fine day, I think that was on Monday, I went to Ministry of Education to make some inquiries about our salaries. When I was coming out of Ministry of Education Quadrangle, Banjul, I met with Omar Diouf, who actually was the president of GAMSU at the time. We greeted each other and he said to me, Mr. Nyabally, you know what happened? I said, no. He briefly explained to me what happened to Abraham Barry's case and allegedly Binta Mani's case also. I said to him, okay, you know what we should do? Why not go upstairs and try and talk to the PS? I think the PS, permanent secretary at the time, must have been Dr. Seydou Jallo. And the Minister of Education at the time was Andres Nongjata. I told him, go there and try to see them because, this is very important. Omar was wearing a traditional gown, so to speak, long one. He said, okay, he went upstairs. Then I also proceeded on my way. I went out. How he ended with them, I don't actually know. But later on, I was told by Babukar An that Nyabally, you see what happened now? He explained the whole scenario to me. And Omar has been trying to make efforts to meet the authorities at the Ministry of Education so that the issue is addressed professionally. But unfortunately, Omar could not have chance to talk to the relevant authorities. So during that time, students became, most of the students were informed about what was happening, especially the Brahma Barry's case. Gambia College students under Ali Khan, who was the president of sub-union, were also trying to forge ahead to find out why this happens and the like.
Please tell
During
us
that,
in what manner these incidents were communicated to the students.
yeah, for Ibrahim Barry's case, Ibrahim was one of my personal students at Foster Secondary School. Ibrahim Barry, grade 10. I was taking them for literature and English language. Ibrahim Barry, actually, I was made to understand that he had a problem with one of his, I think, commerce teachers or so, over sitting arrangements. And then I think where Ibrahim was placed, he said the sun was affecting his eye. That's the secondary information. I've not heard it from Ibrahim himself. I got that information from some of the students who were actually very close to me at the time. That was narrated to me. I said, but that's not fair, because he was my student. I know how Ibrahim was. Yeah. So according to when we made our investigation into the case, more especially Alhagie S. Dabo, he was the vice president. With Ali Khan, they were very much instrumental in trying to liaise with the authorities in Brikama to at least remedy the situation. Whilst Omar Juf, Babukar An, Molo Jallo were in Serakunda and Banjul trying to fix things out in connection with Bintamani's case, to make sure that there was an identification parade to identify the assailant of Bintamani. Ibrahim's case came like that.
Do you know when the investigation started with respect to the case of Ibrahim Barry?
Ibrahim's case, I was made to understand, I think it happens on the 9th of March. And then on the 10th, I think the news was brought to us that, Ibrahim died as a result of the torture received from these guys, the fire servicemen, because he was, you are told he was saved. He has been removed. He was asked to carry some bags of cement from one point to another. Until at the end, one of the bags fell down and it was split. And the secondary information we got was Ibrahim was asked to eat that trifluorocarbon, so to speak, because that was the chemical used to make cement. So he was asked to eat that cement, and consequently, I think he could not withstand the pain, and that caused his death. That was the secondary information we had. But then, because it was secondary information we have not heard from Ibrahim, he was dead, we took that story to be the gospel truth, that Ibrahim died as a result of torture and inhuman treatment that made it on him by the servicemen.
Who gave you that information?
That was from Molo. No, Babukar An. Babukar An, I think he was the secretary advisory board of GAMS at the time, if I can remember fully. He was in picture and he was getting a lot of information because he used to come to my house with Molo Jallo, I think Babukar Jonka, and some other leaders, and Alhaji Kamara, who is in America. We used to chat a lot about Gamsu because we went to Gamsu a lot of experiences and activities from 1992 to 2000 and 2000, prior to Ibrahim's and Bintamani's case.
Do you know if efforts were made by the leadership of the student union to liaise with the police with respect to the investigations?
Yes, Council, a lot of efforts were made by student leaders. Frankly speaking, on the oath, I met with this guy, Omar Juf, and he told me that what he was doing. Babukar An, Babukar Jonka, Molo Jallo. And in fact, there was a point in time once one of the students at the University of Gambia called Mahmoud Max Jallo, he was also very instrumental. He was also involved. We were all putting our heads together to see where to touch and then so that things are solved in a very responsible manner. But more especially Omar Juf and Alhagie Dabo, Babu, Aliu Khan did a lot to remedy the situation. But unfortunately, things fell apart.
Can you please tell us some of the efforts that were made by the student leadership to resolve the matter?
Yeah, meetings were convened in different places. One of the fundamental meetings that was held was at the Gambia College. I remember fully. The security top officers, I was told by Amolo that these guys were there, but he could not attend the meeting. But some of the students were there. That I think Rex King, Commander Rex King, but his real name is, I think, Zephaniah Bresford King. That's the then IGP at the time. Zephaniah Bresford King, yeah, exactly. That's his right name, full name.
And were you present in that meeting?
No, I didn't. I wasn't there. I was at the Brikama police station at the time when that meeting happened, because we had classes, and from classes I went to Brikama to make some shoppings. On my way coming, I saw some students entering in Brikama police station. I think they had different case. I went there to ask them. They said no, they were there to find out about Brikama's case and then liaise with the police of this place. Fire service. And then one of them, I think that was Aliu Khan, he said, in fact, they were on their way to the Gambia to have meeting with the security officers. I didn't go there actually because I was invited, and I came to know that when I was in the Kama. But different students, union, different student members, different areas were involved in different activities to make sure we all use our heads to make sure things are controlled in the way and manner in which we hope. So that was why we have the president, secretary, and the like. We all use our heads in different ways and tap different doors to make sure things are controlled.
You've already told us that Omar Juf was the president of GAMSU at that time. Can you please tell us about the other leaders of GAMSU at that time?
Omar Juf was the president. Alhagie Dabo was the vice president. Senabu Gay was the secretary general. I think Aliu Dabo was a captain member as president of the University of Gambia. I think Alasan Sise was the treasurer. Babukar An was the advisory, I think, secretary advisory board. Molo Jallo was part of it. Briefly, these are they were about 11 executive members at the time who were very active in the student unionism at the time. Yeah.
Do you know if anything positive came out of the meeting that was held at Brikama with the security personnel?
Council, nothing positive came out of it because the only thing positive was the meeting. Apart from that, because the essence of having a meeting was to put heads together and come up with better solution. But nothing absolutely came out in favor of the peace of the country. Because Genumane was the principal. He did everything he could, but he was also tied to the corner because Genu was a personal friend of mine. He calls me a poet because of my relationship with the American embassy. He always called me poet. So I knew for sure Genu had done what he was supposed to do to correct the situation, but because of the top security and at the time we were in the hands of a very brutal dictator, everybody would have to say yes, sir. So nothing positive came out, but I'm sure in their own minds, they knew what we were aspiring for. Because personally, myself, Molo Jallo, and I think Mamadou Max Jallo, we tried to convey a meeting at the IGP's office, but I was sent out because, IGP spotted me as somebody who is very recalcitrant. Because I always try to put laws in their ears and then, quote certain sections, and he doesn't like it. So they assume I was a small boy, so I don't have to conduct, I don't have to dictate them. So he sent me out. I think Molo and Mahmoud Max Jallo had a brief meeting with them, with Pa Amadou Jallo. Pa Amadou Jallo was, I think, was one of the top officials at the Gambia police at the time. Then I think one London Baji called Tatin Baji, very, very, very vocal and very instrumental when it comes to professionalism. He called me in his office and said, Ndoke, that's what he used to call. He said, Ndoke, who is a friend of my father. He said, Ndoke, you know what? Leave this thing like this. We will know how to do it. We will treat it accordingly. So when we left, after some time, I was told that some of the student leaders also went there to have meeting with Rex King and some of his top brass. But nothing absolutely came out of it. In fact, personally, I drafted a letter. You call it, we always capture because NIS did when I was arrested.
My apologies for cutting you there. I just wanted to ask some questions to clarify certain things.
Okay.
How did the student leaders feel when nothing came out of the meetings that were held to resolve the issues?
Council, not only the student leaders, the entire student fraternity felt disappointed, disgruntled, felt alienated, so to speak. We were not contented with the way and manner in which the authorities treated the matter, frankly speaking. Yes.
Did the leaders at any time approach the Ministry of Education with respect to these issues?
Indeed, Council. As I told you at the beginning of my testimony, Omar Juf was very much instrumental in this case with Molo Jallo, Babukar, and even this guy, Aliu Khan, who was the president of the Student Sub-Union Bikama, Gambia College. He was always in touch with Genumani because Genumani was the principal and he was always advising the student leaders. Always. They did every effort, but as principal of the college, you're also tied to a corner sometimes. Just like the IGP was tied to a corner, just like the chief of staff and the ministries, they're all tied to the corner, but because they were not professionals. If they are professionals and they believe in the pen of their might, I don't think they would have to accept something that is not true. They have to follow the truth and then, reveal the realities today.
What do you mean by they were all tied to the corner?
Council, I would have to be very brief here because when I say they were tied to the corner, it's like, this is the truth. But if I say it, what will be the consequence will be negative on me. That was the Gambia we had for 22 good years. Every top brass of the Gambia government at the time were tied to the corner. They knew for sure that what I am doing sometimes is not correct, but nobody dares to challenge it. That becomes executive order and decision to be concluded by the president himself alone. He does whatever he was the president, he was the minister, he was everything. He was a caretaker. So if he employs you, you can't say no. If you say no, he sacrifices you. And many of those people were breadwinners of their families, so they want to get their bread being buttered at the detriment of the citizenry. That was why I said most of them were tied to the corner.
You mentioned consequences. Consequences of what and from who?
Negative consequences from the authorities that normally we say executive, that is the president. Because sometimes he would sack you from your job, or somebody would sack you who is your superior without the president knowing it. But because they want to make the president happy. So they only have negative consequences, not positive. Only negative, because they will be sacked or they'll be arrested or they'll be called for questioning and they'll be in the black books of the government. So they don't want that. The best thing they could do was to say, yes, sir, and allow the dust to settle.
Can you please tell us what came out of all these meetings, after the meetings, the futile meetings?
Well, I remember we had a meeting at Father Federal Hall in Carnifing. I think that was on the 24th of I think March, where most of the security officers were there. I remember the NIA's Mr. Drame was there, Tijanba was there, Ibrahim Kinte was there. I think police also, I saw one Boop there and one Dabo, one they call him Inspector Dabo, he was there. And the students were many, and sub-unions, secondary schools, people were many there. The press was there. They covered the whole thing. And a lot of efforts were made definitely to quiet the situation.
Who was Tijanba?
Tijanba was a personnel at the NIA. He was a staff at the Office of the President, National Intelligence Agency at the time.
And who was Ibrahim Kinte?
Kinte was also one of the operatives of NIA attached to the State House, but the NIA head office. Just like Ibrahim Drame also, I think he was director of terrorism and counter-terrorism at the time.
And were they invited to this press conference as well?
Well, as far as Gamsu's scenarios were concerned at the time, security officers, you don't invite them. They just come on their own because they felt that Gamsu was up to something. That was the rumor they had. So, invited or uninvited, they would always participate.
Can you tell us what the press conference was all about?
It was to address some of the events surrounding Ibrahim Abari's case and Bintamani and the efforts made by the student leadership to ameliorate, to at least resolve the problem, and then try to find solutions to the existing problems. That was why press, because we touched many doors, and all doors were like they were sealed to us. So one of the fundamental things we could do was to call for a press conference. Press is very powerful. The moment it is in press, it is in the media, the whole world is aware. So those who don't know what is happening, they could come up and then give us solutions. But it was unfortunate, really, Council.
Was this press conference aired on national TV?
National TV was invited, but I didn't see them there. I know that they were independent newspaper. Forea was there. I think Daily Observer was there. I think Point also was there. I think that was even Panderi Mbaya. I can remember he was there. I can remember fully. These were journalists who were there because they want their paper to be marketed. So they had to come and cover some of these salient things, important events. The journalists were invited. Whether they were there, I can't remember, but there was a cameraman. I can't just tell because I didn't see the inscriptions GRTS. I can't remember that definitely.
Can you please tell us some of the major issues that came out of that press conference?
Well, the only thing was people were addressed, and then issues were addressed rather, and then points were put across. But then at the end, nothing came out of it because we thought when we knocked the doors, some people did not hear it. But when we make press conference, at least people will hear it. During the press conference, people talked, but many were very careful with their choice of words, their dictions, because they knew for sure that they were security officers, so they don't want to put their necks on the guillotine. So people just barely talk surfacely, kind of express their disappointments, but then they could not go further. But the student leadership were very instrumental with what we want. That was only justice. Yes.
Can you please tell us if after the press conference, the student union embarked on further negotiations?
Yes, there were a series of negotiations after the press conference of 24th. Because I remember I think on the 7th of April, there was another meeting, I think, held in Banjul, I think, police headquarters. I wasn't there. I was told by Babu Karan because most of these meetings, because I was a student, Sometimes I go to classes, sometimes I don't go to class. But then Babukar An was a close friend of mine, he was my junior, and he always call me and say, Mr. Nyabally, this is what you have done, this is what you have done. So this is how we are. And when we meet, we talk. Alhaji Kamara comes to my house every now and then, briefs me. So I knew that there was a meeting, but nothing
Sorry,
absolutely
Mr.
positive came out.
Nyabally, I have to cut you there. It's like I'm hearing another voice coming from the background. We're good to go? You can go ahead. I apologize for that.
No problem, Council. I mean, meetings, these things were done in that way, and then anytime there is meeting, I will be informed, because being the longest serving council member, most of them bestow their hopes in me to guide them and advise them. Myself and one Ibrahim Sise and Diba, sometimes Diba also would come to my house, one Ibrahim Diba. We always talk about these council issues. So it's like I was like a reservoir to most of the students. They took me for knowing a lot of things about council, so they always consult me, really. So I always give them my candid advice as leaders, of that nature. Yes.
Apart from meeting with the security personnel and also engaging the Ministry of Education, do you know if the student union tried to engage the top brass of government at that time?
Yes, Consul. The likes of Ministry of Interior, I think that was the minister was, I think, Usman Baji. And I think also the National Intelligence were involved. And Minister of Local Government, Kababajo, played a dividend role, good role, definitely. Just that things fall apart, but Kababajo I think he was Minister of Local Government at the time. He played a very, very important role. He tried to lace the students and the vice president to make sure we dialogue with her, because the president, we understand, he was to travel, and in fact, he has traveled. So when he traveled, these things happened exactly on the 7th. Meeting was held. On the day of the strike itself, demonstration itself, I'll call it, Kawabajo came. He tried a lot of efforts to at least select 5 student leaders to go and meet with the vice in Banjul. Unfortunately, things fall apart. It was sad.
You just mentioned on the day of the strike itself, meaning the demonstration, Kawabajo tried to get some representatives to go meet the vice president. Can you please tell us more about that?
Yeah, actually, on the 7th, we had a meeting, and then at the end, we were involved in clandestine meetings. We do meetings in houses at the Gambia College Student Sub Office. Secretary General was asked to tender a late bonus. Sorry for that Spanish language. They were asked to submit a letter to the head office in Banjul, that is the police headquarters. I think she went there. That was on one Sunday. She wasn't accepted because I think the top brass were not there. She never could not deliver the letter. And in the morning, already it was rife in that students wanted to go on demonstration in the country. So to avoid that, we wanted to make a press release to make sure to tell the students that the planned demonstration has been cancelled. We want to meet with the vice president and discuss with her and some of the authorities. But it was too late. Already the rumor had eaten the fabrics of the country. So before we could inform all the students, the press media was going to be GRTS, but it was not aired. And only to be surprised to hear, I think, the Minister of Interior, Usman Baji's press release, that the students want to go on demonstrations. And if that happens, they will not compromise with the security of the country. It's to paraphrase what had been said on the Radio Gambia, that was said. It was from the Interior Ministry, I think Usman Baji.
Do you know if, in fact, the press release you're talking about, do you know whether it was delivered at GRTS?
I think for sure. I personally, I think I heard it from GRTS in the morning. That was 7 o'clock news. Because normally I get up and then scribble something from GRTS and I explain to my children. So I'm pretty sure that was on the 9th of April. I can remember fully. I think it was one Sunday in the morning. GRTS have all the archives. They know. I think they have all the documents. So
That is, if you can remember. Can you remember the content of that press release?
no, it was like I can't remember exactly, but to paraphrase, it's like the government is concerned that with great concern that we are made to understand that the students want to go. Gambia Student Union GAMSU wants to organize a nationwide demonstration, and we are out to condemn the demonstration. Our doors are open for dialogue, something like that. To paraphrase it, it was like they are trying to condemn what GAMSU was about to do, and then they want to invite GAMSU to a dialogue when it was already too late or too late.
Actually, my question was with respect to your own press release. That is the GAMSU. You mentioned that GAMSU also had planned a press release informing students that the demonstration will not take place. That's the press release I'm talking about.
Exactly. No, that wasn't the GRTS. That was sent, but GRTS never received it. It was, in fact, Senabu, I think finally he could not submit these things. That was why things fall apart. Because we would have told the students, and they would have heard it in the Radio Gambia that the strike has been cancelled. But then it wasn't aired. It wasn't aired. It wasn't aired. I have not heard it. Nobody wanted to listen to GAMS all the time.
You've also told us about a press released by the Minister of Interior with respect to the demonstration that was to take place. Can you tell us the tone with which the statement was made on TV?
Well, the tune was not bad. It was just that, the language was not respectful because, saying that we had that students want to go on demonstration, we will not compromise with the security of the state, and then we are advising the students to desist. It's like compelling the students leaders not to act when already they have faced them several times, but their doors were closed. Now that things fall apart, they wanted to control the students. It became a difficult situation. But the tune wasn't bad. It was read in a normal way with Radio Gambia. It was not bad. The tune wasn't bad, definitely to my understanding, because I listened to the news, I believe, at the time.
How did the student leadership take that press release by the government?
Very, very, very annoying, disappointing, because after touching their doors, they were not ready to listen to us. Now, how can they compel us to stop what we plan? It was too late, and we couldn't have informed all the students countrywide. It was like a rumor when we say something here, Basse would hear it. So rumor went like that. So unfortunately, we couldn't inform the student leaders and student union, student members at the time. Things went like that, and it went out of hand. Council.
Can you please tell us how that day went from the morning of the 10th of April?
Yeah, on the 10th of April 2000 was the darkest day in the Gambian history, because as was planned and was to be cancelled, but the first bus from Brikama, I think, arrived at around GTTI, hours of 6 or 6:30 or so. Amor Diouf was there on time to at least to inform the students that it was cancelled. That was his main intention, to be there at the GTTI at the time. He was there very early in the morning, and with some other student leaders before we could arrive. And he was there to talk to the students so that they control the students. Nothing happens. Everything go as expected, planned well. But unfortunately, around 7:30, the PIU, the police intervention unit, came around with shotguns. I think they called it AK-47s and the like. Walking around. There was a particular commander who was talking with some of the leaders like Omar Diouf and Alhagie Nyabally also. Yes.
You also mentioned the presence of Kababajo. Can you please tell us about that on the morning of the 10th?
Yeah, Kawabajo briefly came, and then he tried to lace with the executive of Gamsu and the vice president. He said, look, let's you guys, student leaders, the top leaders, you select 5 of you to go and we meet the vice. And she's ready to listen to you, she's ready to talk to you guys. And during that time, I think Kaba left or so. Babu Kare Jata, I think he came with this guy, Minister of Interior, Usman Baji. Usman Baji met Babu Kare on the ground. Then Babu Kare moved towards Jimpex area when some of the students were there at KTDI. Then that's where the whole thing started. The PIU started misbehaving, saying words which are not pleasing in our local language.
At what time did Kababajo meet up with the students' leaders?
That was around I think 7 or so. Around I was 7 and 8 more approximately, but it was 7 I'm sure because when some of the students were still in vehicles going to Banjul, that means it was not time to enter the class.
And were you present when he arrived?
Yeah, I no. In fact, he met Babukar. This guy, Kawabajo met me on the ground, but I took my bicycle. I had a bicycle. I took my bicycle, went towards Ice Institute to meet with Moro Jallo there. I left him there. Then when I came, I didn't find him there. But I no sooner I arrived than Babukar Jata arrived with Usman Baji.
At the time he arrived, were the students already gathered there, or was it only the leaders that were there?
There were some students. Not only executive members, there were some students. Many, in fact. Because GTDI, the students were there because they had classes, normal classes. And like say Maska, some of the students were alighting from the bus. They also stood to watch what was happening. And some other schools around. Yes.
You also mentioned the presence of Babukar Jata and Usman Baji.
Yes.
What was the role of Babukar Jata?
I think Babukar, either he was passing by and saw the students group and then he passed by to address the students also because I saw him there. I don't know where the direction he came from. Saw him there on foot walking towards the student. In fact, he had his beret hung on the shoulder of the sleeve of his shoulder, the shoulder belt of the military. He came towards the students. He was talking. They surrounded him. He was talking. Then I came closer. Then he started moving with the students little by little towards Kimpex areas.
And do you know his position at that time?
That time, they call him the CS, Chief of Defense Staff.
You also mentioned the presence of Usman Baji. Do you know what role he played there?
Usman Baji, perhaps on 2 grounds, he came as a spectator to see what was happening, or he came to mediate and see how best they can remedy the situation. These are 2 things I thought he was there for. Actually, he didn't play any positive role. To me, no, because being the Minister of Interior, when the students knock on your door before things fall apart, I think you would have been the first person to attend to them and then, address things professionally. But that was not the case. So he being at the GTI was like solving an injury. Because students seeing him and leaders seeing him, it was like he has come to provoke us.
Before the presence of all these leaders you mentioned, Kababajo, Babukar Jata, and Usman Baji, were the PIU present at the scene?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they were the first security personnel to be there, PIU. And they were believed to come from the PIU station in Kanifing.
Do you know if they said anything to the student leaders when they arrived?
Well, when they came initially, they just went one side, stopped, and then it's like they were preparing some materials which we later believed to be riot gears or so. They were preparing those things. At that some time, I think Alhaji S. Dabo went towards one of them, talking to them to disperse the servicemen, so that the students would not be unhappy, because the way they are seeing them is like it was like a confrontation that was about to happen. So, but if they go away, that would pay dividend, so that discussions can continue, and maybe some student leaders can go to Banjul and meet with the vice president. Yeah.
And did they do anything about the request made by Alhagie S. Dabo?
Nothing, absolutely, Council. Instead, they provoked the situation, because walking around, until there was one of the commanding officers who he was briefly the commanding officer, had just like a conch sort of, it's like a microphone. He was talking in the name of peace. Paraphrasing, these are security jargons that he was using. That in the name of the Republic of Gambia, you must disperse and so on. So the students did not go. So when they moved towards the students also moved towards GTTI fence. There was this what we call barbed wire fence around GTT at the time. There was one queen tree, neem tree, at the entrance. Students gathered under that tree, left the highway. But when they advanced towards the students, some of the students ran into GTTI and picked some stones. So when I think Alhagie S. Dabo was the first to be beaten on his cheek. I think with the gun, he was struck or so, and he had the pain. And then when things went out of hand, students also took some stones. To be frank with you, some students took stones, also trying to throw at the security personnel, because they were beating the students with trunking, this black pipe. So things went out of hand that way.
When the confrontation started, where was Babukar Jatta, Usman Baji, and Kababajo?
Babukar had left. Babukar had left. He went towards Gimpex. I think that when it started, Omar Diouf was picked up. Alhagie S. Dabo finally was picked up. I think Aliu Dabo was picked up. Babukar Jangha was picked up. Babukar An was picked up. Most of the students leaders exactly were picked up. Almost all of them who were recognized at the meetings were almost all picked up. Because personally, I was not picked up, because I was in a bike, so I wasn't wearing a uniform, because as not being wearing a uniform, and I was not at all the meetings. They knew me, but then I was not arrested, definitely. At that point, I was not arrested. So we were trying to. So at the end, when most of the leaders were arrested, so you could see, Council, how students were left. They were just like unrimmed animals in the bush. They had no leader. So when things fall apart like that, who was there to control the students, talk to the students? Nobody. So everybody was doing what he want. Babukar, in fact, trailed with the students towards the PIU office to seek for the release, I believe, of some of the students who were arrested. It was later on I knew, because I saw him trekking with the students, but whether he was going to PIU on that mission, I don't know. But later on I was told that he went there for reconciliation, something like that, to make sure that some student leaders were released.
Do you know the security forces that arrested the student leaders?
In names, no, because most of them, they were paramilitaries. Actually, I don't know their names, to be frank with you, because at that time we were not there to identify anybody. We thought maybe things wouldn't have been like this. So unfortunately, when things fall apart, we couldn't identify anybody. But we knew that these were PIU officials who arrested most of the student leaders. PIU, Police Intervention Unit.
Just to be sure, when you said picked up, you mean arrested, right?
Well, I don't know how would you call it in legal jargon, but then like to pick up, well, it's like not being given lift, but then their freedom was seized, and then they were put in vehicles. So that means I would say, maybe I would say they were arrested. Let me just put that way. That would be the best legal term.
Do you know where they were taken after their arrest?
Different places. I know most of them were heading towards Banjul area with the pickup. Others went towards PIU. I think it's where Aliu Dabo, Alhaji S Dabo, I'm not sure Senab Gay, but I think Babgar An went to Banjul. They took in the Banjul because the vehicle that he was put in faced Banjul direction. So most of the students were taking different security setups, security wings. Yeah, not the same place.
You mentioned that after the arrest of the student leaders, it was like everything just got loose. Can you please explain that scenario?
Yes, Council. You know, when you have a leader trying to negotiate with other leaders, it's like if you are in a war in a war field, when the two commanders are no more to be seen, the juniors would just kill each other unnecessarily. Exactly happens here. The student leaders, there were no student leaders at the end. Students themselves could not know what to do. So at the, it's like students wanted to go home. They wanted to free themselves to go home or go on their normal business. But security officers confronted the students in different angles, different directions, from Westfield, from Iceman, from GTDI, Sankushila area. So at the end, they were casing the students. So it was so terrible that students don't even know what to do. So some of the students who were very brave, when they run away, they will come back and see what is happening. From Westfield towards Jimpex, that's where most of the students started. So as we are not very much used to this firing of the gun, so when you hear it, you will come back and see what's happening.